This post recently went viral on Facebook. A man was driving home when he saw a deer, but as he approached it he could see that something was standing next to it. Mr. Taylor said the following: "When you drive by a ghost petting a deer on the side of the road." Once the post started to gain traction, various different theories were put forward in order to try and explain it. Someone went with the paranormal, saying that the photograph appears to show what looks like the outline of a humanoid. Others carried on from this and shared their own stories of driving home and seeing mysterious figures in the road. One person said it looks like the being could be that of a young adult, and that perhaps something bad happened on this stretch of road. People who researched the paranormal said that it could be an example of a residual haunting. A residual haunting is actually one of the better hauntings to experience. According to paranormal researchers, these entities will let you know when they're there, but will usually stay out of your way. This is described as an event that gets played over and over. For example, if someone hears the same whispers or screams, or sees an entity walk up and down the same flight of stairs, this can be described as a residual haunting. This is one of the reasons why so many people report seeing this same event played over, with one of the most common ones being that of the mysterious Lady in White. Some suggested a more natural explanation, saying that what people are seeing is a tree, but others didn't agree with this. Firstly saying that it doesn't look like a tree, and also questioning why the tree would be in the middle of the road. One person said the following: "Everyone seems to be focusing on the strange apparition, but no one seems to be mentioning the deer itself. Something about it just looks off." While another person said this: "Why does the deer look like that? This thing looks evil." These comments caused some to look at other possibilities, with users suggesting that these two creatures may actually be skinwalkers. The Navajo people of southwestern America have many stories of various encounters of their ancestors with the skinwalkers. Described as a witch-like creature that could turn itself into an animal, skinwalkers are quite frightening. In the Navajo legend, skinwalkers are called Yi-Negaloshi, and this translates to he who walks on all fours. Skinwalkers were most frequently seen as foxes, coyotes, wolves, crows, eagles, or owls. Some stories even tell of skinwalkers attacking people by appearing as a relative or an acquaintance. The abilities of the skinwalkers are quite varying in the different legends told about them. Some skinwalkers could possess the bodies of their prey by looking into their eyes. This way they were able to control the actions of the people. Many believe that the skinwalkers are still present in South and North America, and some people have even claimed to have been chased by them. It's said that the skinwalkers are able to run at incredibly fast speeds, and they can cover a distance of more than 200 miles without stopping. It's said that skinwalkers are usually present near graveyards, and can vanish very quickly if they need to. There are many accounts of encounters with skinwalkers during recent times. Some researchers have tried to solve their mystery, but haven't had much luck. As of right now, people can't seem to agree on what this image shows. Another place where mysterious creatures show up is that of trail cameras. This image went viral back in 2018, with many people sharing it on Facebook, and claim that it was captured on a trail camera in Alabama. The story goes that a property owner kept hearing mysterious noises on their property late at night, and that whatever creature was making them, they didn't sound like any of the local wildlife. The man forgot about the noises, but 2 days later he heard one of his goats make a loud-pitched screaming sound. It caused the man to run outside his house and try to find it. However, his animal was nowhere to be seen. While walking around his property, he could see that large paw prints littered the area, and this is where his goats were kept, and he knew that whatever it was just trying to get a quick meal. He wasn't able to move the goats as they were kept in an open area. The story then goes that everything went quiet for a few nights, before the same goat noises were heard again. Recognizing the noises, the man once again ran outside to try and catch whatever was harming his animals. However, same as before, he was too late, and whatever it was had escaped with one of his goats. It's reported that this happened 5 times before the man had enough. He decided to invest in a trial camera and catch whatever this creature was. Same as before, when he inspected the area, he could see large footprints. After installing the camera and waiting for a few nights, the same event played out with one of the goats being taken. The difference this time though was that the trail camera had managed to capture something. When looking through, it said he was baffled as to what he was looking at. When posted online, many people put forward their theories. One person said that it was identical to what they'd seen on their property, and they said that they think it's the mysterious chupacabra, an animal known for taking down smaller animals and draining them of their blood. Others suggested that the feet were more humanoid, and that it was actually that of the dogman. However, some say this story isn't true, and what the photo actually shows is a mysterious creature that was captured back in 2015. With that being said, the story is still similar, except it details a woman setting up a trail camera because a mysterious creature keeps coming onto her property. Researchers have come forward and said they haven't been able to identify the original source of the photograph, and claim that every couple of years or so it makes the round on social media. Some who have seen it though are convinced it's one of the clearest photographs yet of the dogman, while others have said it just shows a dog with some type of illness. The brain is very complex, and scientists have said it's not entirely understood. Back in 2012, Dr. Eben Alexander from Lynchburg, Virginia, was eating dinner with his family. It was here that contaminated food gave the doctor an E. coli meningitis infection, and it started to attack his brain. Alexander is a Harvard neurosurgeon, and after getting this, his chances of survival were slim. He was taken to the emergency room where he was put into a week-long coma, with brain scans showing that things were not looking up. Doctors who were looking after him announced that his entire cortex, which can be found towards the front, was not functioning properly. The cortex is extremely important for human function. It receives information about touch-related sensations like pain and temperature. It's also the part that gives us consciousness. After running more tests, the doctors said that things were not looking up, and that if he did survive, it was likely that he would suffer some type of brain damage. Holly Anderson said the following about the doctor's condition. Nurses would come in. They would pull back his eyelids, shining the flashlight, and his eyes were just off. It was just like no one was in there. As mentioned by the National Health Service, a coma is a state of unconsciousness where a person is unresponsive and cannot be woken. Someone who is in a coma is unconscious and has minimal brain activity. They're alive but they can't be woken up, and they show no signs of awareness. The person's eyes will be closed, and they'll appear to be unresponsive to their environment. They won't normally respond to pain or sound, or be able to communicate or move voluntarily, and basic reflexes such as coughing and swallowing will be greatly reduced. They will be able to breathe on their own, although some people require a machine to help them breathe. Over time, the person may start to gradually regain consciousness and become more aware. Some people will wake up after a few weeks, while others may go into a vegetative or minimal conscious state. Due to the response from the doctors, those watching over him were not confident, and said to the family that his chances of survival were low. Incredibly though, Dr. Alexander suddenly woke up. Not only this, but he claims that the doctors were right, and that he wasn't there. He said that only the primitive parts of his brain were working. What the doctor said next surprised everyone. He said that he journeyed to heaven and saw the afterlife. Dr. Alexander said the following: "In every sense of the word, that's what my experience showed me. My first memories from when I was deep inside I had no language. All my earthly memories were gone. I had no body awareness at all. I was just a speck of awareness in a dark, murky environment, in roots or vessels or something, and I seemed to be there for a very long time. I would say years. I was rescued by this beautiful spinning white light that had a melody, an incredible beautiful melody. It then opened into a bright valley, an extremely verdant valley with blossoming flowers, and a just incredible rich ultra-real world of indescribable complexity. Alexander then goes on to detail that he encountered a young woman who was able to travel through space and time, saying that this humanoid would give him messages from heaven. He carried on with the following. She looked at me, and this was with no words, but the concepts came straight into my mind. You are love, you are cherished. There's nothing you have to fear. There's nothing you can do wrong. It was all eternity in all conscious existence, but it was this brilliant orb of light that was almost as necessary as a translator, and it brought me the message from the divine and the incredible. After this experience, Alexander was taken home to recover. Shortly after recovering, he was shown a photograph of his biological sister that he'd never seen before. The doctor was adopted. As soon as he saw the woman in the photograph, he recognized her as the being that was traveling through space and time. He said the following. I looked up at that picture on my dresser that I'd just got, and I knew who my guardian angel was. It was the most profound experience I've ever had in my life. Not everyone is impressed with his story though. Although there's many that believe him and said that his encounter is proof of heaven in the afterlife, neuroscientists and others who have spent their life studying the brain have said this is a case of hallucination. Dr. Alexander responded with the following. I know this is not a hallucination, not a dream, not what we call a confabulation. I know that it really occurred, and I know it occurred outside my brain. Alexander goes on to detail that this journey would not have been possible due to the state he was in, and said he can debunk every theory that other scientists have put forward. He said the following about his condition. If you would have asked me before my coma, how much was someone who is in a coma for a week with severe bacterial meningitis, so severe that the sugar level around my brain, normally around 60 to 80, and in bad meningitis goes down to 20, but in my case it went down to 1. That's just one piece of evidence of how severe this was. If you asked me how much would that patient remember, I'd say nothing. They wouldn't remember a single thing. The severity of meningitis would have prevented dreams, hallucinations and confabulations, because those things all require a fairly coordinated amount of cortex. He goes on to say that he is a skeptic himself, but after experiencing this he now has a solid answer as to whether heaven is real or not, and says that he knows that it's real. He said the following. For me it's become clear that the best way to look at it is to turn around and realize that consciousness exists in a much richer form, independent and free of the brain, which has everything to do with the eternity of our souls, and the fact that our awareness, our consciousness, our soul, our spirit, does not depend on the existence of the brain in the physical universe. In fact, it's freed up to be much richer knowing we're outside. Although skeptics have denied these claims and said that what the doctor encountered was just a hallucination, other researchers have come forward in recent years and said the brain is very complex, and that the soul of a person is in the microtubules of the brain cells. It sounds confusing, but doctors think the human brain is just a biological computer, and the consciousness we experience is run by the computer inside the brain. This means it will continue to exist after the human is gone. Both of them suggest that what humans think of consciousness is the result of the effects of quantum gravity that is situated in the microtubules. Religion is a topic that's heavily debated, and there's many reasons that someone would want to believe in religion. For many, it gives them a sense of comfort, helps them to relax knowing that there's a higher power, and for some, reassurance in knowing that there's an afterlife and that they'll be reunited with their loved ones. One image recently went viral. It showed Sister Cecilia with a radiant smile, and at first many were confused as to why the pictures went viral, but unfortunately Sister Cecilia was in her final days. She was in a losing battle against cancer. She passed away on the 22nd of June, at age 43. Many readers were surprised to hear the story, and noted how strong she looked in her final moments. It was even said that Pope Francis was moved by the images, and said that he had prayed for her, in which he said he knew all the good things she had done during her life, and that she was very much loved. Sister Cecilia Maria spent a large portion of her life at a monastery in Argentina, where she dedicated herself to God. Those who spent time around her stated she was always happy and in a good mood, going on to say that she played the violin and was known for a beautiful smile. Last January was when she was diagnosed with cancer of the tongue. Sadly, it quickly made its way to her lungs. Those who were close to her though said that she remained strong throughout the whole ordeal, with family members saying that they spent a lot of time with her and showered her with love. Family members would travel to the hospital, and when it was time to leave they would head out into the garden and send her messages via helium balloons. A source close to her said the following: "Those who saw her spoke of her face as showing peace and joy, as someone awaiting the encounter with the one to whom she had given her life, our Lord Jesus Christ." End quote. Towards the end of her life, Sister Cecilia was unable to speak due to her condition, but she wrote these words on a piece of paper: "I am very content, astonished by the work of God through suffering, and by so many people who pray for me." End quote. Her last words were the following: "I was thinking about how I'd like my funeral to be. First some intense prayers and then a great celebration for everyone. Don't forget to pray, but don't forget to celebrate either." End quote. Many people commented on how strong she was, and that even though she had what she had, she was still able to find a way to smile. In recent years, many interesting religious events have allegedly been witnessed by the masses, with eyewitnesses saying that some of these events had been the real deal. When people experience these apparitions, they seem to defy logic and reasoning. It reaffirms their belief that this comes from something that is real. For hundreds of years, mysterious events have been witnessed by humans, many of these involving mysterious objects in the sky and strange apparitions appearing before us. Although it's easy for some to say these aren't real, sometimes when applying logic, all this does is show us more questions than answers. For those who do experience these once-in-a-lifetime events, it has in many cases changed their lives, helping them to believe that there's more to life than what we make out. One of the most interesting events reported comes from a remote area of northwestern Japan. Here a small convent sits in the town of Akita. While small in size, this place has become very well known, with pilgrims coming from all over the world to pay their respects. It began with a 3-foot-tall statue of the Virgin Mary, called Our Lady of Akita, and a deafened nun named Sister Sasagawa. One day in 1973, Sister Sasagawa was praying in the chapel when she heard the statue calling out to her. She looked up and the statue illuminated the room with a bright light. An angel was in attendance. Messages of prophecy and prayer from the statue followed, but that was only the beginning of the supernatural episodes to come. Soon after the statue of the Virgin Mary had called out to Sister Sasagawa, wounds of the crucifixion started to appear in the statue's hands. Liquid began to seep from these marks, and the statue then appeared to perspire, together with tears falling from her eyes. A sister who was witness to this supernatural event said the following: "It seemed to be truly cut into flesh. The edge of the cross had the aspect of human flesh, and one even saw the grain of the skin like a fingerprint. I said to myself at that moment that the wound was real." End quote. The statue went on to weep over 100 times. Interestingly, this incredible event was not just witnessed by inhabitants of the convent, but over 10 million people when it was broadcast on national TV. Scientific evidence also supported what was being seen. With lab tests performed on the samples of blood, sweat and tears that came from the statue, it was concluded that they were not synthetic, and indeed of organic and human origin. Further miracles were soon to come. In South Korea, a woman named Teresa Chun Sun-Hu had been diagnosed with a brain tumor and given a grave prognosis. She went into a coma, but at the same time saw a vision of this statue. Coming out of the coma, Teresa travelled to Japan to pay homage and pray in the same chapel. At the same time, her friends and relatives also began to pray for healing in the name of Our Lady of Akita. On Teresa's return, her doctors were shocked. The tumour had gone and she was completely healed. This medical miracle would not be the last of Our Lady of Akita. The next was fittingly related to the sister who came across this incredible statue in the first place, Sister Sasagawa. Born prematurely and in poor health for most of her life, her hearing had pretty much deteriorated by the time she entered the convent. She would go on to be verified as being incurably deaf by medical experts. However, after years of praying to this statue, her ears were opened, and it was confirmed that her hearing was completely restored. Incredibly, she too had been healed, and the miraculous nature of Our Lady of Akita affirmed. So what do you make of these stories? Be sure to leave your questions and answers in the comment section below, and help us to grow this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.